Moving on now to dependency theory. This is an explanation provided from those of the new right or classic liberal or neoliberal tradition as to why poverty persists and exists in society today. They very much blame two elements. One is that it is the individual's responsibility, so the poor are poor for their own fault, and that in fact the government has not helped by giving benefits, and in fact the welfare state itself is responsible for the persistence and existence of poverty. I know it sounds illogical, but bear with me. So think of these guys as blaming the poor for being poor. They see it as their individual responsibility. This is part of a long tradition of scapegoating, that is, blaming the innocent or an innocent for wider social problems, and has been practiced at least since the 19th century. It points to, or has the idea behind it, of the state-dependent individual, that individual who is entirely dependent on state aid and is disincentivized to work, those that do not think that they should work, and that it is, they become completely dependent psychologically as well as financially. This points to a culture of poverty. It's not just about finances, it's about values. And Luis Oscar, in his study in Mexico, in the barrios in Mexico, found that although there were genuine barriers to those in the poorest sections of the community getting on, that they themselves built barriers. And those barriers were of a cultural nature that prevented them getting on. The values that informed their norms, if you like, were faulty. They had gone wrong. They kept them trapped in place. And we're talking about things like the acceptance of fate, this fatalism, that poverty has always existed, it will exist, and my dad was poor, and so wherefore. So there is no sense of the need to get out of the poverty trap because of it just is the way it always is. That there is no long-term planning. So the idea of investment of the now to help the future doesn't exist, and this is a cultural deficiency. What we're talking about here is investment either in night classes or in education or in property or whatever it is not there because they culturally do not have that ability to do that. It's geared towards this cultural deficient, this trap of culture that lives for the moment and does not plan for the future. It is in for immediate gratification and not delayed pleasure. The problem with this, of course, is that there is no evidence that this does take place, and that indeed that there is this culture exists, and that it's different for poorer people than for rich people, or and it can be seen as a rational response to poverty as opposed to a cultural trap. The underclass is an issue that has been put forward by a writer called Charles Murray. Now, he sees that the cause of the persistence and existence of poverty is the existence of a group of people who are a determined group of people, of non-working people, an underclass that go counter to the values of the rest of the society. These are lazy people. They are entirely able but unwilling to help themselves. And they are what Murray calls self-recruiting. That is, they are generationals. They are a distinct group of people that you have to, if you like, be a member of their club. They look to keep people in, and in this way, these are the same guys, these are the same identity. And as such, Murray points out that this group are the ones responsible for the same group of responsible for the majority of crimes in the community. The same group have a high level of babies born outside wedlock, pointing to a cultural deficiency of this group of people, and that they are also made up of the long term, that's more than 6 months unemployed.